Welcome to Target Market Insights, the multifamily and marketing podcast. Each week, John Kasman interviews multifamily and marketing experts to teach you how to find the best places to invest, attract investors, and grow your portfolio. You are listening to Target Market Insights with your host, John Kasman.
Welcome to Target Market Insights, the multifamily and marketing show. I'm your host, John Kasman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. Now, if this is your first time listening to this show, I have to welcome you, and I have a little ask. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And if you are a returning listener, well, thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for coming back to the show. I want to hear from you, though. I would love for you to leave us an honest rating and review so we can learn what you love about the show, and then any tips, ideas, or guests that we can bring on to help make the show work harder for you. Now, today we've got a good episode. We're going to be talking to Zachary Boothe. Zachary Boothe is a former window cleaner who is now a successful real estate investor. Now, he has built a major business and he spends his time helping others see how simple it is to make money with real estate. Zach is here today to share his insider secrets to find massively discounted properties, regardless of your experience level. Let's welcome to the show, Zachary Boothe.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Zach, I went over your bio at a high level. Why don't you take a minute or two and give us a little bit more context?
Yeah. So like you said, I was a window washer, right? And I started that business actually when I was 17 years old. I ran it for a decade. And, from the outside looking in, I was super successful, right? I had like 11 employees at one time, 3 trucks, and I had tutorial videos on YouTube. One of those videos now has like 11 million views. I ended up on the History Channel because of washing windows of all places. But I was burnt out. I didn't love what I was doing, not at all. And I was paycheck to paycheck. And it was a struggle. And then I was also risking my life. I was up and down ladders all the time, all day long. I was still out, even though I had all those employees, there was so much turnover and people calling in sick. I found myself out washing windows all the time. My rotator cuff in my right shoulder, I've since done a bunch of rehab and it's getting better. But man, I was falling apart. I was in my mid-20s and just struggling physically already. And I knew something had to change. And the big moment for me was when my oldest was born. So my son Hudson, we were talking about him off air. He's sick. We're down in Mexico on vacation. Poor little guy, super sick. But he's going to turn 7. And I love him to death. He actually just came up with his first business idea. He learned about photosynthesis in school, and grass will grow from a seed, and you need sun and all that. He's like, Dad, we're going to sell seeds to people that need grass, and we're going to make money. I was so proud of him. It was super fun. Anyways, when he was born, I knew that I needed to make a change, because the day he was born, all I could think about was, how am I going to pay these medical bills? How am I going to make the payments? Yes, I had some insurance, but my deductible was high. It wasn't a planned pregnancy. I didn't feel ready to be a father. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me now. But I was terrified, and I knew that I had to do something more for my family. And everything just kept pointing back to real estate. And so I tried a bunch of different things. I bought a duplex and house hack, lived on one side, rented the other. And that was great. I knew I needed more of that. I knew I needed more. I was making so much money. My monthly payment was like $450 on that bad boy. And I could rent just one side for $850. Right. And I'm living the other side making money. It was like, okay, I need more of this. But then I hit all these obstacles, down payments, debt to income, all these things that kept me from buying more. And then as my financial, situation got a little bit better, I tried flipping a house. That sucked. That was the worst thing ever. I lost money. I was there Christmas Eve. I just had all these obstacles. And I learned about real estate wholesaling, where real estate wholesaling is where you specialize in finding the deals. You specialize in marketing. You're basically a pawn shop for houses, right? You find someone that wants speed and convenience for their house. They don't want to list it with an agent, and they want you to just take it off their hands and be done with it. You don't have to invest. You don't have to take a bunch of risk, right? Because you don't have to close on the house. You don't have to have money to do this, which I didn't have, right? It was broke. And so I found a way to get properties under contract and sell that purchase contract to an investor. My first traditional wholesale deal, I made $10,000. And I was hooked. I was like, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I love wholesaling. I love real estate investing. Wholesaling will give me the opportunity to cherry pick and pick up rentals, build passive income, and also have lump sums of cash. And it's exactly what it provided for me. So kind of a brief overview. That's kind of how I landed in real estate.
Man, what an amazing story. And I love the fact that you built this business from your teenage years, built it up, but also recognized the realities, right? And it's funny because there are some similarities in your story. So you talked about the window cleaning business. My stepmother actually had a cleaning business, and still runs the cleaning business. She's had it for over 20 years now. And she and I were just talking about this yesterday. Still hard, especially right now where, this is still COVID time. But it's hard getting employees right now. So she's having a lot of turnover issues and things like that. So understand those issues, your health issues, that rotator cuff, trying to get out there and still cleaning the windows yourselves, and then having your son and just the impact that has. And I know for me, it was a similar thing where my oldest son was born and I really had to go from, hey, I'm down a good path, a very good path, better path than most, but it wasn't really the most optimal. And I think at that moment, it triggered for me. It sounds like the same thing kind of happened for you. And as you kind of went through testing out real estate, the house hack was amazing, flipping, not so much. But then you found wholesaling. And the thing that I think is really interesting about wholesaling is it is really about marketing. So we're going to talk a lot about that in this conversation here. But there's a myth that some people may have, and I want to see if we can dispel this myth immediately. So you talked about not having a lot of money, which was one of the reasons you liked wholesaling. But wholesaling is not limited to people who don't have money to buy rentals and things like that. Explain kind of the business, because you're successful now and you've got money now, but you still like wholesaling.
Oh
Explain
yeah.
why you like wholesaling and why it's not just for people who have limited cash starting out.
Yeah. So in the beginning, right, when I was like learning and I tried flipping a house and I had a rental and I was like, okay, like what do I need to do? I started reading books, listening to podcasts like this. And I'm sure so many people that are listening into us right now are in that same boat, right? That's why they're listening to podcasts, right? It's because they're trying to figure out what their journey is and what they need to do. And I read a book and there was a paragraph in that book that changed everything. And I think it goes right in line with what you preach and what you teach on your podcast, that real estate investing is marketing. So the book is called Multifamily Millions. So he's talking about giant multifamily deals, right? Giant multifamily syndication, $1 million deals. And he says in that book that real estate investing is marketing and our product is real estate. If you do not get that between your two ears, you will not be in business for long. I think it's like around page 90. Changed my life. And I was like, okay, I want more rentals, but I got to find a way to find them. I got to do marketing. It's like, what is marketing? How do you market for real estate? Then it opened up my mind to like, okay, what do I got to do? Then I learned about wholesaling, where you specialize in marketing, where you find deals, and it's a really quick way to get cash, right? You get really good at the marketing, you find off market discounted properties, and you get cash immediately. You don't have to take debt, you don't have to take risk. And so what I learned about wholesaling is like, okay, this is fantastic because now I've got all these deals coming through my business. I'm looking at this one. I'm like, that's kind of an ugly duckling. Someone's going to pay way more than I'm willing to pay for this bad boy. Let's take my $30,000-$40,000 assignment. But this one, the seller, they just want to walk away with what they owe on it, and they're willing to let me take over their mortgage. And all they want is $1,000 so they can buy a wedding ring. This is a true story. Right? I rent that thing out for $1,350. My payment's $750, and I got it for $1,000. And it's a non-recourse loan. The loan's not even in my name. So then I'm all of a sudden building wealth and taking over properties and getting properties because of wholesaling. Wholesaling is truly real estate investing, right? It's your marketing. You're finding discounted opportunities. Like I see these people all the time that are successful real estate investors, flippers or buy and hold investors, and they're talking to sellers and they'll just throw lowball offers to people and go, if I could get it for this amount, I'd probably do it. But, it's got some foundational issues. It's a major rehab. It's going to need a lot line. It's got all these different things that need to be done. Doesn't make sense for me. Well, I can guarantee you, you can find someone that can be successful with that deal, and you're throwing money away by not having a list of cash buyers to pass your leftovers to.
Yeah,
So,
Zach, let's talk about that a little bit more because I think that's a really intriguing point, right? If you are marketing, particularly if you are marketing for deals,
yeah,
if you don't have wholesaling as a component of your business,
exactly.
you are missing out on a big opportunity. You're throwing away potential leads. And we had a guest recently said something that was really intriguing as well. He said, listen, you're already spending all the money on the lead. And yes, you are searching for that diamond in the rough and you're looking for that 1 out of 100 deal that the numbers work, you can get at the price point you want and all those things. But that doesn't mean you have to throw away the other 99 leads. There's somebody else who absolutely could pay a little bit more for that lead. So there's an opportunity there. But many people, especially for those folks who focus more on multifamily, they may not think about it that way. They may not think about, okay, hey, let me build up a cash buyers list and do all these other things because it seems like a whole different industry. How would you go about that? If you are looking for your own leads, you started marketing for deals, how do you go about kind of either building out a cash buyers list or even the wholesale process?
Yeah. So the first part of the process is building your cash buyers list. So I don't know if you've ever watched Undercover Billionaire, the first season, not the one with Grant Cardone. This is the first season. It's Stern, or I can't remember his name. Doesn't matter. But he goes on to Craigslist and he looks for stuff that people are wanting to buy. Right? He finds his buyer first, and then he goes to the junkyard and starts looking for tires because he already has a buyer for it. He talks about the importance of already having buyers. Any business that you ever start, you already have clients, right? Like when I went and started window cleaning, I went door to door before I ever had the equipment or even knew how to wash a freaking window. I had no idea. I went door to door from my parents' house because I couldn't afford gas in my truck when I was 17. And once I got my clients, then I drove to the store and bought my window cleaning equipment and washed their windows, right? It was a horrible job. It took me forever. It was like $30. I remember I was like, I can put gas in my tank, right? But like, that's the business. So many people want to start a business and they want to focus on getting their LLC and they want to get their merch, with their hat and their logo. Shit, I don't even have that stuff. I didn't have a website until I had made over $2.5 million in wholesaling. I didn't even have a website. Right? Like still don't have business cards. And then once we did put a logo together because we were building out a website, I told my guy that's now in charge of my marketing, hey, get us a logo. I don't care. Right? Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your business really. It doesn't make you that much money. And so people focus on the wrong things. You got to focus on revenue first. So for that to happen, you've got to have your buyers. You got to have your clients, right? So your buyers are your clients for wholesaling, right? You're providing them with deals. So you got to build your cash buyers list. So how you do that, there's a bunch of different ways. I can tell you my one favorite way, how I did it in Florida. I'm sure we'll probably talk about this. In just a few short weeks in a whole new market in Florida, I had 11,000 cash buyers. Every real estate agent that's the investor friendly, every cash buyer, every general contractor that wants to flip a house, I guarantee you they're on my cash buyers list. And the way I did that is I went to the other successful real estate investors and wholesalers in those markets. And I said, hey, do you want to trade lists with all the other wholesalers in the market? And I brokered the trade. I said, oh, John's in. He's got 2,000. How many do you have? You have 4,000? Okay, I'll come back to you with the grand total. I put everyone's cash buyers together, got rid of the duplicates, sent it all back out to them. And boom, I got to keep that list as well. 11,000 cash buyers. And so,
man, Zach, hold on. We got to pause, man. You just dropping dimes left and right. We got to take a minute and process. You just gave us some huge, huge things. First of all, what a brilliant way to build a cash buyers list. I mean, that's just gold right there. I mean, go to those folks who already have a list. Essentially, you become like a consortium, right? You're basically saying, hey, listen, we're going to combine these lists together. You're going to keep it obviously for yourself too, but you share it out because he who has the deal has the power. So it doesn't matter that everyone has the same list. It's about, do you have the deal to market to that list? So great. So super smart to go out there and build that list that way. And just a couple of things I want to hit on that you talked about, got 11,000 buyers in weeks with that strategy. And then going back a little bit, you talked about finding your buyer first. You gave 3 great examples from you with your window cleaning business, the way the guy did it on Craigslist, and obviously what you want to do here with finding those cash buyers. Just brilliant thing. And you said something before. I didn't mention it earlier, but it was such a great line. I have to bring it back. You talked about, finding these properties is really like the pawn shop for homes. And I think that's just a cool way of thinking about what you're doing and trying to help these people out. Let's go back to kind of.
I'm going to interrupt you. I can't take credit for that. The pawn shop for houses. Okay. I want that to be very clear. If you want to get a mentor, make sure that mentor has a mentor, right? And I also got that from my mentor. Tom Kroll was my mentor. I love him to death. Love him. And he taught me that. That was, that idea that we're a pawn shop for houses made it so I could comprehend that, yes, there's a ton of people that will list things on Craigslist and try and squeeze everything out of their junk as possible. But there are people that put stuff out for free on Craigslist, right? Put it out on their front porch with a free. My one employee in my office picks up free stuff off Craigslist and makes anywhere between $5,000 and $11,000 a month part-time, picking up free stuff and reselling it. Right. So he's doing the same thing that I do, but with junk off of Craigslist, and he's making thousands versus, pawn shop for houses. What I do, I make tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands a month. So
love it, man. Love it. Great techniques there. Right. So let's talk a little bit more about finding these properties, because I think that's where the gold really lies. We've talked about the importance of marketing. We've talked about, finding that buyer first. Right. Now let's talk a little bit about the property. How are you going about it? It's pretty competitive. Every investor I talk to gives me the same spiel. It's tough market. It's really competitive right now. How are you still able to go out there and find these discounted properties?
Yeah, so I can share my strategy, right? So one thing that happened is I got into wholesaling, right? And I started by finding potential people that will trade convenience for price, right? So when someone wants to sell a house for speed and convenience, that property's a thorn in their side, right? They're sick of it. So if that property, they're sick of it, they either have some internal problems or external problems, like the house is a big turd, right? It's just got massive issues, or that they've got personal issues that they're dealing with, divorce, they inherited the property and the siblings are fighting over it, right? And there's litigation issues between the siblings. They're in foreclosure, they're delinquent on their taxes, which is my least favorite client to work with. Like, I hate dealing with that because there's always liens, there's always judgments, and it's a nightmare. I rarely even get a deal once it's in the foreclosure process. But those are potential issues. So one thing that I've learned is when I started marketing, I was doing like the tax delinquent list that you can get from your county recorder's office usually. And I was marketing to people that were filing evictions, and I was marketing to people that had code violations, and some of these generic lists that you can pull from your city and county office buildings, right? They're free public records. So that's how I started. And it's a great way to start. Right. And you can buy lists from listsource.com or from PropStream or all these different companies. And that first 12 months of wholesaling, I made about $100,000 doing that. But the next 2 months after that, my leads dried up. I didn't do a deal for like 2 months. And I had walked away from window cleaning. I had 2 children, a pregnant wife and my son and my wife, and trying to take care of everybody and myself. I walked away from window cleaning. Told my business partner at that time, I said, if you want to cash me out, great. If not, pay me profits, which was near nothing. I'm done. And so I kind of burned that boat. So I needed money. And so, remembering that book, that our business is marketing, I knew my problem was I needed a better marketing system, right? I knew that I had to find more deals if I wanted to stay in business. I had to find the right people. It wasn't that I needed to perfect my pitch or convince someone to sell me a house at a discount, right? I'm not a charlatan. I'm not a shark, right? Like, I want to help people that want speed and convenience. I want to find those people. I don't want to convince people that's what they need. So I was like, how do I do that? One thing that I thought of was all these leads that I had gotten and these deals that I had done, the majority of them had overgrown grass. They had physical signs of neglect, right? They think about it. When someone has a property that's a thorn in their side, are they going to go pick the weeds out of the flower bed? Are they going to fix the peeling paint? Are they going to fix the shingles that blew off? They're going to throw a tarp on the roof, right? They're not going to mow the lawn till it's a foot long and the city gave them a code violation, right? They're going to do the bare minimum on maintenance. So I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to start driving around and just identifying physical signs of neglect. And I did that. And, it's known as driving for dollars. I thought I invented it. I didn't invent it. It's been around forever, right? Everything's been done under the sun, right? Nothing's new. My biblical people, you'll know what I'm talking about there. So anyways, I knew that I needed to find physical signs of neglect. So I started driving around, not even knowing that was a thing, and writing down the addresses of the rundown houses. And I pulled 70 properties. I looked them up on county records and I pulled the deal. I was like, holy crap, like how much money is that? I think I made like $7,500 on that deal. And I was like, wow, like that's a huge return. I only sent postcards to it. So I spent like $30 on postcards, spent a day driving. And I was like, man, I need to scale this. I need to do more of this. So I started recruiting people and driving for me. And then I found out there's these apps, driving for dollars is not new. And there's these new apps that came out back in the day. I used to use the driving for dollars app where I could drive by and see the house and push a button on my phone and upload all the information on an Excel spreadsheet for me. I was like, wow, like now I can add hundreds of properties, in a couple hours. And everything changed. By the end of that year, just from driving for dollars, I wholesaled just shy of $500,000 using that strategy, just driving around. I did a couple duplexes, but mostly single family homes.
Man, big insights right there. So just recognizing two things. One, the similarities between the deals that you did, the physical neglect. And you said something that was really insightful. And what you talked about was you really needed to find the people that you could help, not convince people that they needed your help. And I think that reigns true, not just for finding properties, but if you're looking for investors or quite frankly, looking for any business, whatever your service industry is, you want to find the people who actually want your service, not feel like you need to convince people that they need it. If you need to convince them, if you're selling that hard, it's probably not the right fit. Yes, you could be a great salesman, but that person's not going to walk away feeling like they got exactly what they needed, right? But if you can find the people who absolutely need it, who want it, and you show up at the right time, you're going to feel better. They're going to feel better. You're going to make more money. It's just going to be a much better experience for everyone. And in this case, by focusing on those properties that had the physical signs of neglect, you were able to track them down, reach out to the owners. And in this case, you had 70 properties, you sent out your postcards, and boom, got a deal just like that. So the results were there. And then the challenge for you was to scale. On the scale, I know you've got a program, the Driving for Dollars Mastery. Tell us a little bit about that program, but then also as you look to scale and recruited other people, I mean, was it a matter of just handing them the playlist or the criteria, or was there a whole lot of other things that went into training these people to go around the city driving for dollars on your behalf?
Oh man, there was so many things and horrible things that I did. And I shouldn't say horrible things. Like I made huge mistakes, expensive mistakes. Like I can tell you about a $70,000 mistake. When I first started, right, I started paying people 20% commission of every deal, right, of our gross revenue on the deal. And they would drive around for me. And I didn't get consistency out of anybody, but I was pulling deals. So someone would drive for a couple hours and I write them like a $5,000, $10,000 check, and I calculated it. In the way that I compensate my driver now, I pay him $20 an hour plus bonuses for every deal we close, $100 bonus plus gas if he hits his goals, right? In the first 6 months of paying 20% commissions, I overpaid. If I would have paid the $20 an hour versus the commissions, I overpaid by $70,000 in just 6 months, right? So and then plus I didn't get consistency out of anybody at the 20%, which was more expensive than the 70,000 because I didn't have consistent marketing. Remember, our business is marketing. Marketing's not going out where we aren't making money. So that was a huge mistake that I made. Some of the other mistakes is once I did get the Driving for Dollars app, I didn't understand how to manage and make sure they were driving in the right areas and what areas they were driving. And I found out that I did hire someone who laid in his bed and was tagging random properties and saying he worked. And so not only did I pay him not to drive, but I also paid for all the marketing to properties that had no business getting marketed to. And so that cost me tens of thousands of dollars in marketing costs and paying him. But beyond that, it cost me opportunity, right, of not doing any deals, right? So there's been a lot of mistakes that were made. And then, coaching people on how to do this, it's been perfected. Like I said, I made $500,000 right that year. And, talking about this marketing system, the reason I started teaching it, right? Because a lot of people are like, okay, well, if your system makes you so much money, Zach, why do you teach it? Why are you creating competition? And it's a very valid question. And so I wanted to address that because that's what I would be thinking if I was the listener right now, right? So at the end of that year, we did just shy of $500,000. I wanted to do $1 million the next year. I'd always since I was a kid, since I was a young entrepreneur, I wanted to do $1 million in a year. I had no idea how to do it, but I wanted to. And I thought I had tapped out the potential of driving for dollars, at least in Utah. I was like, maybe I'll open up another market. I don't know. And so I was reading a self-help journal. It's called Living Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. And in that book, he talks about creating 3 big goals. So it's like a 100-page book, and you create 3 big goals, and there's a journal to accomplish those 3 big goals. One of my big goals was do $1 million in revenue the next year. And it talked about the importance of whatever your goals were, you had to give away what you wanted to receive. So I had to give away $1 million. And I didn't have $1 million to give away. And frankly, I was going to make the $1 million to make the $1 million, not just to give it away. And so I was like, well, how do I follow through with this? This is hard, right? This is really hard, but I wanted to take it serious. And so I was like, well, I know what I could do. I could pick 10 people across the country. I'd been in masterminds and coaching programs and, had been investing in myself for years. So I got to know a lot of people. So I just started reaching out to some of my friends in the industry. And, anyways, I said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to implement my marketing system. My goal is to put $1 million in these 10 people's businesses by the end of the year. And he said, great, let's do it. And so I made them pay me. So I knew they would be serious, but I knew I'd put way more in their pockets than they asked for, or that I was asking for. I just needed to know that they were serious, right? Skin in the game. And, we started having massive success. One of my first students, Scott Dallinger, his first deal was $113,000 assignment fee. My one student, Michael McLeish, his first 6 months, he made almost $300,000 from a marketing system. And it was amazing. The best part of this was it's actually not the best part. One of the benefits of coaching was I did $1.2 million in my wholesale business, right? I made very little from the coaching. I made like 10 grand. Right. But I did $1.2 million in my wholesaling business because the more I taught, the more I learned, the more questions that I received that I had never thought of. I found so many holes and mistakes in my own business that it made me very successful. And because I was spending so much time with my students and helping them with that goal of putting $1 million in their business as well, I had to start automating my processes and putting people in place. And now my wholesaling business runs completely without me. Right. Like I told you, I'm down in Mexico right now. And, I spent 2 months away from home. I spent January all the way through February away from home. And, I couldn't have done that without building out a team. So a lot of wonderful things came from it. But the most important thing for me is I found so much fulfillment in helping other people be successful. And I really learned that there's no such thing as competition. People find success because they put in the effort. It's not that if one person has more success, that means less success for us. That's a scarcity mindset. That's detrimental. Yes, in professional sports, one team has to lose for another one to win, but do they really lose? The people that lose in a game or a competition of any kind, they're the ones that learn the most. They're the ones that find the weaknesses in their game. Right. And so really, like, the whole point of life is to progress and to grow and to learn. And, I truly believe that coaching and helping other people be successful in real estate investing is my life's calling and my mission and my purpose. I love it. And I'm just so grateful that I accidentally happened upon that, because of that self-help journal. So Pretty
Zach,
awesome.
listen, great insights right there, and appreciate you sharing a little bit more of that journey. If you want to learn more about what Zach has going on, want to learn more about driving for dollars and get great at that, you can check out his website. It's DFD for driving for dollars, DFDmastery.com. Zach, we're going to move on to our bullseye round. You ready?
I'm ready.
Give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
I would say struggling to create enough financial stability in my window cleaning business. Right, I learned a lot from those struggles. Once I found an industry I was passionate about, I had a lot of the fundamental principles and mistakes that I had made elsewhere. So, and I learned that how important it was to have a mentor, not try and figure things out yourself. I knew I needed help. Right, I tried for a decade and didn't have the success I wanted. So,
give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
So for driving for dollars, we use this app all the time, Deal Machine. Huge, right? You can use discount code PIN to get the same bonuses and stuff that I use, but it's how we're able to add so many properties so quickly and be able to then market to those properties. So Deal Machine.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Oh, man, I read a lot. I love books. Books are life-changing. I'm gonna give this book. It's on mindset. It's The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Man, I think that's a required read for everyone. It is absolutely, that is a life-changing book.
All right, give me a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
I don't know if it's necessarily a habit. So I'm the type of person that I don't like routine. So I don't have a morning ritual. I like adventure. I like randomly going to a different place for 2-3 weeks at a time and taking my family. I like to go by myself and get lost in the mountains in Utah. Like, I'm a very adventurous person. So like monotonous tasks just make me sick to my stomach, right? So one thing that I do though consistently is when I'm in a bad situation emotionally or I find myself struggling, I do gratitude exercises. So when I'm feeling sorry for myself or I'm sad and I need to get myself back in a positive state, whether I have work to do, whether I'm going home from work and I'm frustrated and I want to be in a positive state for my children, I do a gratitude exercise. And so what that is I learned this from Tony Robbins, pretty life-changing stuff. And I think about some of the more special moments in my life, like this day my son was born, the day I got married, some of these special moments to me. And I put myself in those places, like literally go back and put myself there and experience it all over again. And I believe that gratitude is the most powerful emotion that you can feel, and it can overcome any sadness, frustration, struggle, tiredness, anything that you're feeling. It can overcome it, and then you can get yourself in a state that you need to be in to accomplish whatever tasks you have at hand. So,
man, you said I started zoning out slightly because you talked about putting yourself in a state of happiness and going back to like a day when your child was born. And I just started thinking about the day my oldest son was born, and my eyes were like getting a little watery sitting there thinking about it, man. So I'm like, oh man, it's crazy. But no, it is
powerful stuff. That truly is like one of the things that helps me. Like I know there's all these people like push, hustle. You gotta hustle and you gotta have these morning routines and you gotta be a freaking robot. Dude, I have a blow up mattress in my office when I get overtired and I go nap. I'm not a robot. I'm not a machine, right? And I need those pick me ups, and some people go get a cup of coffee, but you're gonna crash. But there's an amazing amount of power up here, right? Our brains can tell our bodies to release chemicals to give us emotions and feelings that we need. We are in control of how we perceive and how we interact with whatever the world throws at us. 100%.
Yeah. Zach, what are you curious about right now?
What am I curious about? Man, that's a good one. Recently, I've been very curious about religion. Kind of off topic, but yeah, I've been very curious about it.
All right, religion, that's a good one. All right, what's one thing you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
Oh, man. I wish I'd have known about wholesaling. I wish I'd have known the potential and how much it could change my life. Right? I went years and years and years of trying to get into multifamily investing and buying rentals, buying duplexes, flipping houses. If I would have just stuck to wholesaling, got really good at it, I mean, man, I'm so grateful for where I'm at. And I think a lot of that gratitude comes from struggling, right? But if anyone listening to this, like if you don't understand wholesaling and you're wanting to get into real estate investing, that is definitely something you should look into.
So Zach, on a lighter note, I know you are based in Utah. You travel around a lot, but based in Utah. Give me the best place to grab a bite to eat.
In Utah, man, if you just want like good food, like the funny thing about Utah versus other places is
and where Utah? Where are you at in Utah?
Yeah, so I'm like 45 minutes north of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
So I grew up in Salt Lake City, but I'm in Layton. But if anyone's ever around in Layton, Utah, if you go skiing or whatever, hit me up. Let's grab lunch. But yeah, like Utah's funny because they're very frugal. We're very like conservative, frugal people. So it's really hard to find an expensive restaurant, honestly. Like it just doesn't really exist. But a good meal is called Cafe Rio. I don't think they have it in very many places across the country. Cafe Rio is amazing. The green chili pork burrito smothered with medium sauce, man. Can't go wrong with that.
Cafe Rio. It's on the list there. Excellent. Well, Zach, listen, you gave us a lot of great insights. I love hearing your journey from going from window washer, having a successful business, getting on, TV with it, 11 million views on YouTube, but recognizing your passion wasn't there. You transitioned into real estate, figured out wholesaling was your calling card, and giving us some great actionable, tangible tips. I think the thing that stands out to me is focusing on your buyer first. Get that customer first, then go out and focus on the business. Don't get so caught up in the logos, the branding, and everything else. Make sure you're finding that end buyer, that customer, that client first, and then build the business from there. So just great actionable insights. Again, if you want to learn more about driving for dollars or how to wholesale and finding these discounted properties, you can check out dfdmastery.com. Zach, pleasure talking to you today. We hope you come back and be a guest on Target Market Insights.